Hello, everyone. I have got something. We've been doing a lot of influencers, and I want to talk about a different kind of influencer. And this guy has got so much influence within the industry that you cannot believe. Our guest has been writing about gaming since 1984, when he launched and served as editor for Casino Gaming Magazine. He has also written for Public Gaming, IGWB, Casino Journal, Casino Players, Strictly Slots, Atlantic City Thing. He's also authored 2 books: How to Win Millions Playing Slot Machines or Lose Trying, and Atlantic City in Living Color. You guys, and this is the guy that we go to within GGB magazine that knows what's going on in the industry. He knows before it happens. He doesn't tell anybody, which is, so he's kind of, he knows where all the bodies are buried in this industry, because he actually knows what IGT is going to put out next spring. He knows what we're going to put out. And you guys, this guy knows everything. Some of his recent articles have been Know Thy Customer, May 22, Intelligent Game in April, and The Modern World. You guys, this is the one and only, the Edward R. Murrow of our of our gaming editorial industry. It's true though, because this is Frank Legato, you guys.
Oh, applause!
Yeah, hold on. Let me do this. See if I can get some applause going. Thank you very much. Okay, good. You guys, this is Frank. Hey, Frank.
How you doing? Michael?
I'm doing very well. How did I do in my intro? Did I get it all right?
It was fine. It was just fine.
Okay, excellent. Well, this is my friend Frank. I am very lucky to call you my friend. I have known you for how many years? Oh my gosh. And you've worked with Linda.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Linda take it over, because I've talked enough already. So you guys,
both of you, for a long time.
A long time.
It's been kind of crazy, because over the years, we just know every year, we talk to Frank. We actually bring Frank in to the offices, the Everi offices, and give him a sneak peek before the big global gaming show every year. And he does you do a whole thing around the country, because you go to all of the major manufacturers. So we've had a long-standing relationship. So Frank is definitely the insider person who gets to see all the cool things before it even hits the floor, and then kind of talk to those who make the game and understand that. So Frank, I've been dying to ask you this, and I'm just going to jump right into it. What got you into writing about slots, in this, or the casino gaming? What got you into this?
1984, I answered an ad in the Washington Post for an editor, and it turned out to be Dwayne Burke and Steve Burke and Public Gaming. Yeah. So it was Public Gaming magazine. At that time, Public Gaming was lottery, horse racing, and slots. Yeah. And so I started. That was my introduction to the industry. The first interview I did was with Len Ainsworth. I think he was already. Wow. And I interviewed. I did a story on Bally, and that kind of got the ball rolling. And soon after that, probably within 3 or 4 months of starting, we decided we were going to do a casino only magazine. So so we launched Casino Player, and he sent me. The Burks sent me all around. They sent me to Reno. They sent me to Las Vegas. And just in Atlantic City, that was all back then. Yeah. The whole gaming industry, and then I started, writing about more about slot machines than anything else. And then I moved to. There was a period where I worked for both Casino Journal and IGWB until the head of IGWB saw my byline and said, "What's he writing for us for?" But I freelanced for both of them for a while, until eventually Casino Journal brought me on full time, and I've been with Roger Gross pretty much. He was an editor there, and pretty much ever since. And then when Roger started Global Gaming Business, I moved over to that. But around '91, I started going to calling. I was calling back then to all the slot manufacturers. To write a story about what they were going to have at their trade show, and that kind of evolved into what was called World of Slots at Casino Journal. And then when we started Global Gaming Business, it's called Global Games now. But basically every year I've gone to the slot manufacturers, and you folks have let me into your inner sanctums and shown me, and very few of you have had me sign non-disclosures or anything. So everybody's come to trust me that nothing's going to come out until after you actually formally introduce the games.
Right.
So, but along the way, by sheer rote, I started, being called an expert on slot machines, and I did a couple of expert witnesses for Aristocrat on a couple of different cases, and that's where we got to. And then I wrote the book, but I've always done a humor column for the player magazines, and now for the trade journal as well. So what I did it in the same style, on that humor style. I did the slot book, taking you through the whole history of slot machines and how everything came about, and that's where we are.
Wow.
And I'm an editor of Global Gaming Business, and I still write a ton about slots.
And every year, right before G2E, we are all, as developers, trying to figure out what everybody else is doing. We're all scrambling, seeing if we got it right or what they're doing, because we don't know. And then all of a sudden, we're like, Frank's article's out. Everybody's like running to their computer trying to get it digitally.
We're just like, oh my god, okay, so what are they doing? What are they doing? Yeah.
And we're all trying to
pumps me for information too. Everybody.
Well, it's funny. I was going to say that every time, I'm sure you come down or to meet someone, they're probably like, so how does it look over there?
Anything interesting?
Who's been the best so far? Who's been the best so far? Of course, I always say,
you guys, by far. So, you guys, we're all, look, we're all in the same thing. It's great. We want what we want. Good for us is good for everybody. And you really do a great job letting us know what we're doing right and what's going on in the industry. You really do. And we have people who make games all know Frank Legato. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And respect you a great deal.
I also interviewed the influencer. Yes. Big influencer, Brian Christopher.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. Well, let's go back to that, because I want to go back to some other things. But do you remember we had dinner? You and I had dinner about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and I said, you said, do you have any editorial ideas? And I said a couple things, and I said, but there's this whole thing about these influencers, and I said, and we're gonna launch something, but don't write about it yet, because I don't want anybody. That was when we started Everybody Play Now, and the dang thing was up for 6 months, and then COVID happened, and we just shut it down. So so this is the relaunch. What we're doing here is the relaunch of what you and I talked about at that dinner table. That how many years ago was that? 3 or 4 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like it was this emerging thing at that moment. I was saying there's this thing happening where players are talking online, which is, I think, shifting the conversation all over the place. So,
I remember saying to you, are you telling me people actually go on YouTube and watch guys playing slot machines?
I did.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
And of course, Brian now has however many millions of
500,000 subscribers, I think, right now, and he's probably got over 1 million sort of things between Facebook and
a new game. He's got his own game out now.
A new game. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Big news. Yeah,
it is. It's kind of crazy how the whole world in the last few years shifted towards this big, like, social media influencer type of live streaming world. And I think it when I started looking into this was like the Twitch world, and it was more about games, video games, but casino games I feel are very similar in what it is. But I remember at that time too thinking, you mean someone just logs in and watches other people play a game? That's it? And they're like, yeah. And it was fascinating at first. I could not understand it. I didn't know what was happening, but realizing after being in it for a while that it wasn't just about watching. That's fun, but it was about building a community, talking about the things that you like to do, different games you like to play. So it's just a fascinating world.
And it's good. I go online sometimes if I get a description from a slot manufacturer and I'm writing about their game. It's a very good way to see actually how the game is and how it plays out.
Yep.
and how the bonuses work and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good to see it before you actually go in and play it.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. It's amazing
Mm-hmm.
because it's, this is really, sort of like, let's take a test drive on this before we hit the casino. So it's, okay, you've been writing since 1984, and this is one of the latest sort of big innovations and one of shifts in gaming. What do you think the biggest innovation since 1984 in slot machines has been? I mean, think back. We're talking quarters and bucket nickels and
Yeah,
things
I love
that.
this
So,
topic. Like, I want to do a whole series on this. I love this topic.
The biggest the biggest innovation has to be ticket in, ticket out.
That's what I would say. Me too.
Right.
And of course, when it first appeared, I said, nobody's going to play slot machines without putting coins in. It's part of the experience. You get your hands dirty.
Right. Like get the bucket, the sounds.
The smell of those nickels.
Of course, the great prognosticator that I am, within a year, I couldn't even conceive of how I ever played with coins.
I know. Like carrying around those buckets.
Carrying around those buckets. If you guys don't remember this, a lot of you are going to remember this, but some of the newer players, younger players, the smell of those nickels.
Yeah. Yes.
It was a whole thing.
Right now, but think about it after COVID, how not cool that is now. But back then,
they used to have employees pushing carts around with change so you could get change, or you'd have to go to the change booth.
Right.
There was a change booth.
Yeah.
And then you sat back down at your slot machine that invariably had 3 reels and a single pay line, and you started pumping and of course, if you had to go to the bathroom, you'd hit the cash out, and there never had enough coins in. You'd always have to sit there and wait while until they refilled the hopper of coins. Which was one of the things that led to the tickets, actually, because they went to nickels, and then it was the multi-line games that really pushed that, because you had 45 nickels that you were wagering, and then pennies, hundreds of pennies. There's no way you could do that, with a coin hopper.
Yeah.
And I never missed them. As soon as the tickets came out, I really never missed the coin.
Yeah.
But I agree. Crazy. That would be on top of my list as the number one, like, innovation in casino gaming, slot gaming, is ticket in, ticket out.
And I think about
one of the things I like about Everi is that you've brought back those old style, 3-reel slot machines.
My favorite.
That's been one of my focuses for the past, probably 5 years since Joel passed. I kind of took over that stuff. So, yeah, that's really cool. I also think about things like, for me, I think about Jackpot Party. Williams. It wasn't. Was it Williams? It had to be Williams at that point. When that wasn't that the first big hit, sort of like computer, screen game.
It was Reel 'em in.
Reel 'em in. Okay. Oh, good.
But Aristocrat games that were the first like multi-line games.
Sure.
But they weren't licensed in Nevada in the mid '90s when they came out. I remember this. I remember seeing them in Atlantic City and saying, "What is this?" How do you win? What and everybody around me was doing the same thing. But then they became very popular, and it was '97. Williams, who was licensed in Nevada, and they came out with Reel 'em in.
Right.
Remember Reel 'em in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cartoon Fisher people, fishermen. And then, that was the bonus. And they all had Chicago accents. That's what I loved. The fishermen, you could tell, Williams was in Chicago, WMS,
right.
And they gave thick Chicago accents to all their fishermen. It was a hilarious game.
Yeah.
And that really saved Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a story Williams was, man. What a great story going from Williams to WMS and, and where they've evolved to and everything, man. I remember, raking them in. I remember those games when I first came, because we used to, at Multimedia Games, we used to port them.
Yep.
We were, that's what we would do. We would port them for the native and tribal things. So that was when I first joined, Multimedia Games. That was what, they were one of the teams. They were the porting team. So
the first time I went there, to their headquarters in Chicago, in North Side Chicago, it was still the old factory that they had made pinball machines.
Right.
And it was the same factory, and there was stuff hanging from the ceiling, and it was a very hazardous.
Yeah.
And then it was the following year they opened up that fabulous new facility,
Right.
which I believe is sitting there empty these days since they were
Probably.
bought by Scientific Games.
Now Light and
Light and Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and that's an interesting thing about the history and everything. What about the history of slot games? Because a lot of it did come from pinball companies.
Yeah.
A
I
lot of
forget
the
about that.
sort of so it was like Williams. It was
Bally's.
And
Bally's. Yeah.
Bally and Williams, were a few blocks from each other.
Right.
The north side of Chicago. Their plants, they were actually very bitter rivals. Williams and what was called Bally Manufacturing, which has also had a long ride, with other identity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It became Bally Gaming, and then they dropped the hotel portion of it, and Bally Technologies, and finally gaming.
Yeah.
But it's been a blast. I mean, I've been present for the whole.
I know. You've seen the whole thing unfold from the the beginning to now. So I mean, to see
Wheel
that.
of Fortune changed everything in the late '90s.
Oh God,
What's-
that's
say that
one
again?
of my favorite games.
Wheel of Fortune in the late '90s changed everything.
Yeah.
And Megabucks. I was at the launch of Megabucks in '86. It was this Stardust showroom. Rich Little was the host.
Of course he was. Of course he was.
And that was Megabucks.
Yeah.
But then when they came out with Wheel of Fortune, eventually they took what was the best part of Megabucks, which was the big life-changing jackpot, and they put it in what was their best base games, three-reel games like Double Diamond and Red, White, and Blue, and those games had a lot of other stuff in them that was a lot of fun. So Megabucks wasn't any fun. You're just going for the jackpot, and if you don't get the jackpot, it's just boring. But you always had those multiplying wild symbols in the Double Diamond, and you had all those 7 combinations in Red, White, and Blue, and it was entertaining in between the life changing jackpots, which were 50 million to 1.
Right.
Now it's 100 million to 1 in the East. It's still 50 million to 1 in the West. I do believe they changed that to win the jackpot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, people win it.
Yeah.
No. It's crazy. It's crazy what you've seen in this industry. One of the things that the legacy Everi multimedia games, the history of tribal gaming has been the history of multimedia games. And that whole thing, you saw that from the very beginning. I mean, the time when, I'm trying to 1990, early 90s when the Federal Trade Commission was like going, hey, slow down, what are you doing down there, and with bingo and everything. Well, what was that like to see? Because it used to be just Atlantic City and
When I started, it was Atlantic City and Nevada.
Yeah.
That was it. And and within that was '84. It took about 10 years before there started to be casinos like a lot of different states because of the Native American casinos, and but for a long time, the main Native American casinos were the two in Connecticut, Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun right down the road. Right. That was the first Indian casino I was ever in. Was Foxwoods. Wow. And that started out with just table games. When they started out, it was a complete table game casino in the woods. It was the first casino that ever had windows that I went to. Because in the old days, the casinos didn't have windows and clocks.
Really,
the idea was
that's right.
You're in our house now, and it's not night, it's not day. We don't want you to know.
We don't know what time or day it is. Just hang out.
We just want you to sit there and reel.
Yeah.
And it was like a factory because all the slot machines looked the same, and everybody was just sitting there, pulling the handle. And of course, the handle does, and then that's another thing I can't conceive of now is sitting there pulling a handle.
Right. That moved from the handle to now, like actually hitting a button to now, either this touch screen, right?
Or even hitting glass. Just hitting
glass, right?
Do you still put handles on your slot machines?
We put them on our. We just introduced a new cabinet for mechanical 3-reel mechanicals, And so we were very, very careful not to, because that's a very particular player that really wants a nostalgic experience. So we kept the pull handle on it. We kept most of the touching sort of sensations. We keep an old button. We keep that sort of tradition because that kind of player is sort of still reveling in the sort of Rat Pack days of the Sahara and the sands, and that's the kind of experience they feel. That's what they want. So, and that's usually a high denom player.
I get a lot of questions from readers on should I do the handle? Is the handle any different than the
matter.
Right.
I say all the handle's there for show. All the handle does is comes down and pushes a spin button.
Right.
And it has a spring inside it, so it feels like the old days when you were actually winding up a spring and letting it loose.
And a solenoid making that sound. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah,
But
the slot games have really evolved. They started evolving in the '90s. IGT came out big with the video bonus games, and all kinds of the Cleopatras, a lot of Lucky Larry's Lobster Mania. That was one of the early ones.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
And they've kept a couple of those themes, but now they've evolved from what was known as a second screen bonus in the trade. They've evolved to what's now, and everybody gets on these bandwagons between the slot makers, and so now everybody has a persistent state bonus, what they call. Everybody has cash on reels.
Right.
And I think you guys started that one with the cash machine.
Well, that was
easy. It was so easy to look at that and say, okay, that's what I got. That's what you get.
I worked on that game.
Yeah.
Everybody's moved that to video now.
Yeah.
And if there's any trend that's has no sign of ending, it's that method of playing. Where you get 3 spins, and if you get more cash symbols, it goes back to 3 spins until you either fill up the screen and get a big money payoff, or there's
the hold and respin thing. Yeah, that's been a big deal. But it started with Lightning Link, didn't it? I mean, wasn't that Lightning Link?
Lightning
Link was the one that started that.
With Lightning Link. Yeah. And then Dragon Link.
Right. And Link.
Like, as we're talking about, all the things you've seen through your career and being in this industry, what's like something that you miss about the gaming industry, say about 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Like, what has changed that has been now obsolete from this, that you might, you're thinking, kind of nostalgic for that? Or
everybody's a lot cheaper with the video poker these days. I'm a video poker player. It used to be, when I was based in Atlantic City in the '90s, you could always go over to the Claridge, and they had rows upon rows upon rows of the top-paying video poker, the top pay tables. And it's gradually gone down to where probably 3 months ago, I could go to Bally's at Caesars and still find a few good pay tables. I went there a couple weeks ago, and they're gone.
Really
interesting.
Yes. Huh. And I either, when I go to Vegas, I play video poker and craps mainly. If I play slots, it'll certainly be an Everi game. But
I love that.
Thank you. You hear that? This man knows everything.
We'll send you payment
everything.
But I'm with you though.
I do go for the simple ones. When I play slots, I go for the simple, old style ones more than the other ones.
Right.
There's a few of the big games that if my wife is with me, that we'll enjoy sitting down together on one of those bench seats and playing it together with dual bash buttons. And, that's a lot of fun.
That is fun.
A lot of people have those games now. You have big oversized games like that?
We did. I mean, I think we're kind of phasing out of that. We called it the Texan, and we actually I think what we actually put a cash machine out the first time because it was such a weird game that we put Zap out there on that one.
Zap's cool.
Zap's a weird game. It's sort of like it's the anti-slot machine. It's a game. It's really more of a gaming game. But because those were so different, we really wanted to put those on end caps. We didn't want to run them and get them lost in a line of games. So we used the Texan, which is a large format game. Yeah, on those.
The Crush game.
Crush, man. Juan, yeah, Juan Mariscal is the sort of the mind behind the sort of alternate sort of slot game. He's the one who kind of thinks outside of the box and does all these things. So I'm always excited to see where Juan's crazy mind is going, because he's always trying to rethink the gaming experience, and so it's always interesting to see what he comes up with.
Well, there's a lot of games. I'm saying a lot. There's probably a handful, maybe 10 out there that actually don't have real spinning,
right?
Like Crush and that,
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting. I'd like to see if that would, catch on or stay around. I'm interested to see that.
Well, and it's very interesting because those are you get very polarizing responses to that, because especially I've watched a lot of people when, like, especially the influencers play it, you'll hear get somebody get on there and go, "This isn't a slot machine, it's not a slot machine." So, but some people love it. It's just like great.
Last fall, there was an Aruze introduced a slot machine that was actually one of those claw machines.
Yes,
and that's how you won money.
I missed that. They did?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of fun.
These little plastic balls with different money sums in them, attached to them. And that's what you did. You put in your money and you moved the claw, and it never caught anything, just like regular claw machine.
Yeah, I already know I'm going to lose that one. Yeah.
They worked the math out somehow where it's, the payback percentage is it's kind of similar. But I'm not sure where that game's going to go. I haven't seen it out on the floors yet.
Yeah, it was kind of like a couple years ago. Scientific Games, at that point, Scientific Games put out the fish game where it was like the
I remember
with
that.
the discs, the balls that kind of did the falling down. I can't remember what that's
Is it kind of like, it was like Plinko, wasn't it?
Plinko. It's like Plinko.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Has that been installed? It's been in Nevada.
I'm sorry?
In Nevada.
The
It's in
We were
Nevada.
asking if it has been installed anywhere. That game.
Linko?
Yeah, it's the fish game. The fish game.
It's like a pachinko game, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting.
It's like a pachinko thing.
Yeah, Plinko. Yeah, I think it's
fall down from the top.
Right.
Well, I think being as big and long that the casino gaming has been going on, that at some point you do have to take, influences from all different sorts of games, video games, carnival games, old school games, like bring them back. Has there been one that's like pinball-ish?
There's been a couple that are pinball-ish, Konami had one where it actually, it played just like pinball. And I haven't seen that around lately either.
Yeah.
but I could actually use the skills that I developed in my youth.
Yeah, in your youth.
Where I used to, play a lot of pinball in arcades.
Yeah. And that's the whole, like, even the pinball world is there is thousands and millions of people that are still very much into pinballs. I have a couple of friends that I know that actually own like 10 to 15 pinballs machines in their home. And it's fascinating. It is amazing to me because it's just the size, like same size as a slot machine, but they just have them all lined up.
A few years ago, there was a fad coming out with arcade games.
Right. It was skill-based.
We're doing skill-based. Or skill influenced.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And those companies kind of went by the wayside one by one.
Boy, it was hot though, wasn't it?
It was. Next Gaming is still around, and they and the owners of Next Gaming actually own they own Binion's and one other casino downtown. So they kind of use that as their proving ground for these new games that they had. I just talked to the guy not too long ago. From Next, but the other thing I was thinking that and you can splice this together and edit it to the other section.
Yeah, that's good.
But the other thing I was thinking that I do miss is slot tournaments used to be a big deal, and they run them for like 3 days at a time.
Right. It was like an event, right? Like a whole big.
Yeah, this is prior to this is
I don't know. We're just plugging right here.
No, this is prior because
you're talking
slot
about
tournaments were huge,
but in the
before
in the old days they would have a tournament. They would have
Yes.
a tournament area, and it would be like a 3-day event, and
Right.
I'd get invited, and they wanted you to just play in the casino for a few days, but
right.
there was always a big theme and everything, and then of course tournament kind of killed all that.
And thank you, Linda Tren.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
I'm just saying, but I remember those tournaments. It was so fun because it was, I was just like still in college, but I was legal, guys, and it was a Caesar's Palace tournament that I just happened to. I was visiting Vegas, during spring break or something, and I just remembered just how fun it was. But it was one of those things where they rolled out the machines right from the back and they set it up, and they had like a host, they had like dancers, and it was like a huge event on the floor. But it was, yeah.
As advanced as the technology is, tournament is really recalling that old style of slot tournament. It's an event.
It is, right. And that's exactly what it was capturing that feeling.
And it's a party, and it has brought back because a lot of the slot tournaments these days, you're just playing them at regular machines, and they assign you, and the machine switches to tournament mode, and
right,
and then and it's really nothing. It's not a special event. It's
well, I think during COVID, it really changed the game. So the last thing you wanted to be was in a group full of screaming people. But we're getting back, and things are getting back to normal. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how tournaments kind of come out of COVID. The sit and go tournaments were very popular, and so it's going to be interesting to see where everything goes in the next couple of years. Because
I'll be honest, I wasn't for sit and go tournaments. I was.
I like the party.
You used to go around on the bus, didn't you, Linda?
Yes, I did. I traveled around the bus. I think in the 10 plus years that I worked at Everi, it was over 220 casinos I have visited.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was insane, but it was. What an experience to see all those different casinos, to meet like all those folks. But it definitely was one of those things where we were trying to capture that feeling that I remember having, being on that tournament in Caesar's Palace decades ago. And just like that, that just being a winner but being part of a group that played. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I'm a big fan of slot tournaments, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Well, tournament's the only one that that has all the elements that you used to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fun project to work on, man.
That
was so much fun.
Yeah.
So what do you think the future is? So now that you've known so much, you've seen, what do you think is the future of gaming right now?
Well, there's a lot more room on the floors. One thing COVID did was it got rid of underperforming games, garbage games that nobody was playing,
right?
And and now you have all the everything is in a carousel or everything's in pods,
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice. It's kind of more roomy. When I started playing, it was like everything
like right next to each other, right?
They'd ram as many slots as they could. Into the space, but the future. There's a couple of things. Sports betting, at the slot machine is going to be big.
Really, excellent.
And IGT has just come out with a couple of. They call it the Crystal Betting Terminal, where there's a slot game and you can make sports bets, and then there's a screen that actually shows the sporting event while you're playing.
That's actually pretty.
Wow.
Legit.
I think that's a cabinets. I can't wait to see the next cool cabinet. Everybody's coming out with cool cabinets.
Right. Do you think it's going to be bigger screens? Because I feel like it's curved screens
or taller.
I mean, like every time I go now, it's like who has the biggest screen?
Yeah. It'd be like a drive-in movie. You'll see
exactly. Like it just gets larger and larger.
You'll have a little controller.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've been calling it the last couple of years. You remember when we had the tournament banks and we had those? We were the first ones to put those signs in promoting games that were on there. But now it's a space race to the ceiling. Everybody,
it is.
everybody is above. They. I don't know how those security cameras can see anything because all those machines are so tall now. So it's crazy.
And then you have curved cabinets that come
Yes.
together.
I saw that.
Ones from Aristocrat that go up like this, and you can sit and look at the progressive meters.
I do think they are so pretty. Like I love them, but I am very traditional when it comes to slot machines. So I like the traditional 3-reel,
Yes, me too.
5-reel when it was a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing.
It's not a thing.
I miss the old Player's Edge video poker.
Yes.
It was about the size of like a
yeah. Maybe we go back that way. Maybe we go we bring back smaller screens now versus all these. I mean, they're beautiful. But yeah.
They have a room at the D, and I think one other downtown casino where it's like a retro room where they have
that's super
old
cool.
Player's Edge video pokers, and with the Fortune 1, Fortune 2 cabinet, and they take coins,
What?
Yeah.
And
wow,
it's very popular. It's a very popular thing,
Yeah.
Probably with old people.
I don't know. I've talking. I mean, I've spoken.
But I don't want it. I don't want to play with coins. So
there's something nostalgic about it. Kind of fun. Like when you go to a carnival or something, and that's that feeling you get, no matter how old you are, right? So, but I think over time it does get annoying because it's over time you're like, okay, I'm good.
See, that's why I like this incorporating the sports into the machine, because when I go, I usually, as I always stay at the South Point out there because they have the best video poker, and I'm usually at the bar, in the sports bar, so I could because I can watch games. I can watch,
watch
the Stanley Cup playoffs and play video poker at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. You guys, this guy has seen it all. I think,
yes.
Frank has seen it. So I want to thank you, Frank, so much, because you have seen so much change in this industry, and you've been a trusted source for us all to sort of kind of give us some space. So what do you got?
Trade show parties are the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Trade
show parties.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. Playboy Mansion. Bally threw a party at the Playboy Mansion.
I wish I was at that.
Marcus invited me to it, and
I bet that was fun.
Oh,
I bet that was fun.
And I got there, and Mickey Romer was standing there, and he had these Cuban cigars. They looked like Castro would smoke. He said, "Here's some scotch. Here's some single malt scotch. Here's a cigar, and let's get going."
Yeah.
God,
that sounds so much fun. But you're right, trade show parties, the big ones where it used to be like, a big event. But I think, what Steve tweet last year, the first year that you guys came back after like the big COVID, was right, wasn't it? Like because I haven't been to G Tweet the last couple of years. So for me,
it's been a while. Yeah.
But so this year would be my first time back, which I'm excited about to see how it's all changed from pre-COVID to now.
And now I'm looking forward to the next Tournament of Champions as well.
Oh,
let's see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, you guys
hobnob with the celebrities on that.
I know, because I would. We definitely would love to do like another. I'm not even working on it anymore, but I'm like, we'd love to do another celebrity charity tournament.
So you guys, we did a celebrity tournament, and Frank was in our celebrity tournament with Brian Christopher. And is that the first time you met Brian that day?
That was the first time I met Brian. Yes.
Good. I think I went up there and went, "Hey, you guys, I need you guys to meet each other." So, so that's awesome.
You're taken with Carrot Top.
Right, Robin Leach.
Yeah, Robin Leach.
And Robin Leach and Penn and Teller.
Yep.
And my favorite was the Soup Nazi.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine. So yeah. Because were you there the day that because he was watching our celebrity tournament when I said, "Come on over here, come on," because I had never met him before. And I was like sitting there going like, "Hey, Villain season 2," and he was like Villain season 5 or something like that. And so that was the first time that he and I had ever met. So that was fun.
Yeah,
so it was a very cool Facebook photo op.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was very fun. Well, you guys, thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much. It's great to see you again. I hope to see you this autumn when we get ready to do it all again.
And we'd like to have you back too, Frank. We'll have I'm thinking the history of slots, history of casino gaming. That would be an awesome topic. Awesome. to cover, because that's like one of the things I really want to get on this channel. I think, that would be awesome.
That'd be
Anytime.
All right.
Call me.
Okay, great. Thank you guys for coming. And when you want to know about everything slots, like this is everything slots, you guys.
Right.
This is the. We're going deep here because this guy knows everything. When you want to know everything about slots, Linda, where do you go?
Everything slots.
Slots. All right, you guys. Thank you.